Hey, what's up? My name is Mike Yakovlev. I'm a professional 2D and 3D artist, and today we're going to be reviewing 3D assets. Yeah, specifically the pack from 3DPropStore Guerilla Troops Pack 1 and 2, but we're mostly going to be focusing on pack number 2. Before we jump into the review, I want to mention a couple things. The first is that 3DPropStore did provide me these assets so that I can make this review. The second thing is that my opinion is my own. So what I like or dislike about a product, very specific things like that, they're just dependent on how I work and what's important to me and my workflow. The third thing is that since this is kind of my first official review in a sense, I want to establish a bit of a template, so to say. So the first part will just be, the stuff I like. The second part will be the stuff I don't like. And then the third part will just be like a wish list. All right, let's jump into it. So 3DPropStore, if you're not familiar with them, they're kind of small. They sell static props and assets that are primarily used for pre-production and concept art design. That means that if you're making a quick 3D scene for your concept art or illustration and need to fill it with something, you can just drag and drop their characters and props into your scene and keep going. The pack and others that they sell are very much themed, so you'll see that they have characters and props that fit specific settings or time periods all over their website. The pack I'll mostly be focusing on for this video is Guerilla Pack number 2. And this is kind of a special one because it comes with a total of 38 models. 6 of them are rigged A-pose characters and 32 are just static. Next, let's look at the assets themselves. When we look at them up close, they're actually really high quality. There's a ton of geometric detail, but they're still pretty well optimized. And the textures look super real. And that's because these are photo scans. What the team at 3DPropStore does is they will get models into costumes or even go to a museum to scan the props that they need. And then these photo scans are sometimes processed like with their props. They create various levels of detail, things like that. Since the characters are photo scans, that means that all the parts are not really removable, except with a few minor extra elements like this rope or this cup, things like that, which is a nice little extra bonus feature. The rigged characters themselves, they are nice too because they give you the freedom to create a pose that may not be included in the pack. Although the rig is basic, the weight paint I think is still really well done and allows you to get a lot of range of motion. Ultimately, you get exactly what is promised, a variety of high quality themed 3D scans. As I've mentioned, these are very much themed packs, but not just in their clothing, in their poses as well. So much so that I felt I was fairly limited for the types of scenes I could use these models in. For example, about 25 of the 32 models in this kit are holding something, and this pack specifically doesn't even come with props. You might find yourself feeling forced to adjust your lighting, angles, or even the entire scene in order to make the specific and sometimes even awkward poses work for you. There's a scene I was trying to make for this review, which was a character with their leg up on a box, in this position. And like 90% of the pose is there, but this foot is just awkward. It's not straight enough. So I'm either spending time fixing the geometry in order to put into what would be like a pretty common position, or I'm forced to use a different angle that doesn't really show that foot, or just remake the pose from one of the A-pose models. Which takes me to my next item, and that's the rig. The rig, it doesn't have like IK and all these controllers that an advanced rig could have, so I think the rigs could be a little bit better. They're a little bit like tedious to work with if you want to get a complicated pose. I think that's something that, there's room to improve on there. The other thing for me personally, I feel like the price is a little bit steep, but the guys at 3DPropStore were really cool and they said that the first people that used the link down below will get 25% off Guerilla Troops Pack 1 and 2. After that, a couple more small things. So if you download the pack of like 38 characters or 36 models or whatever, you're going to have to go through and download every single one of those one at a time. And it is tedious. It was testing my patience. I downloaded enough just to get the idea for the pack and just to like make this review, but I really kind of got hung up on downloading everything one at a time. That probably feels like the biggest downside to kind of how these packs are sold and given to you. They said they're working on a way to really speed up that process and allow you to just download one file that has all of the files already in it. That really doesn't say anything about the quality of the assets themselves. It's more just like the marketplace process of downloading the assets. The one last thing I'll say about this that was kind of a bother for me was that the naming isn't necessarily consistent. So the names of the files when you download them off the website don't exactly match up one-to-one to the folder name that you download. And then that doesn't necessarily match up one-to-one to the actual blend file, like asset name inside of Blender. So that can be just, a little bit tricky. If they were just all named one thing, that would make it easier for the user in terms of like tracking what blend file came from what folder and what folder came from what asset they purchased online, all these kinds of things, just kind of keeping things organized, keeping things tracked. But again, not a super big deal, not a big deal breaker in my opinion, but just a little quality of life that could be improved, I think. So the first thing is the price. Again, I mentioned that earlier, but I really think that having constant discounts and sales and things like that, deals, promotions, all this kind of stuff can be a huge way to get people to come to your website, check out your assets, all this kind of stuff. So again, I'll plug the discount code down below. Make sure you use that, get 25% off Guerilla Pack 1 and 2. That'll save you like $50 off of each. The second thing on this wish list is free stuff. So I think that a lot of marketplaces, you'll notice, offer free assets or free demos to try their stuff. 3DPropStore has a bit of a strict policy with refunds and download limits and things like that. So have a couple free models, like 1 or 2, let people try them out, let people get excited about them, let people share. Color variants, I think those would be awesome, like alternate texture colors for like designs or patterns or things like that. That would be kind of cool. I mentioned this earlier, having more advanced rigs I think would be a huge bonus for them. And then lastly, bulk downloads, as I mentioned as well in my bad stuff section. So there's my review. I'm really excited by these assets, and I would look forward to the team growing and implementing some of these quality of life changes, hopefully bulk downloads, advanced rigs, all this kind of stuff. But yeah, that's my review of the asset packs. Let me know what you think. Do these assets look helpful for you? Are they something that you could see yourself using in your workflow? Let me know down in the comments below. Don't forget to check out that discount code. And thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.